Well, today also marks World Water Day. It's a day to raise awareness of the global water crisis. Yamkela Ntola is a senior lecturer at the Department of Public, Constitutional and International Law at UNISA's College of Law. He has written extensively on water issues and impacts on human rights, and he joins us now via Zoom. A very good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you so very much for availing yourself to SABC News this afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, Flo, and thank you very much for having me.
You know, access to clean running water is a basic human right, but, you know, for many in our country, this right is infringed upon. Is it a case of an inability to make this a reality or a refusal? I mean, in basic terms, what exactly is the problem here? You've written quite extensively on the issue.
Yeah, well, look, Flo, when we talk about access, there's really two things that we're talking about. Or at least at the core of it. One is that you have to have the adequate infrastructure so that people may actually get running water. And then secondly, is that the quality of that water needs to obviously be of such that will maintain and not be the detriment to anyone's health and well-being. Yeah. And I think a very good example of how dire the position is currently in South Africa is when you look at the South African Human Rights Commission's report on the Vaal River matter, and over there it really indicates how poor governance oversight and implementing available legal and policy measures in order to provide good quality access, although in that case it was really pertaining to poor sanitation measures. But it does give us a bird's eye view as to how dire the situation is.
Yeah, and paint a picture for us just on the back of that. You talk about the Vaal River matter. You know, there was, of course, a lot of talk around the report on pollution in the Vaal River that negatively affected the issue of drinking water. We reported here quite extensively. There was a case in Kwakwa where an 8-year-old drowned fetching water because of the fact that there was, you know, they couldn't access water, and this poor child went along somewhere and then later, in fact, drowned. And that became quite the big story. It became about this little child who died trying to access water. So these are not isolated incidents. You know, you specifically talk about the Vaal issue because I know you're very much involved there. But I'd like you to paint a picture for us of just how huge this issue is. Recently, we were talking about, there was a clip that just played the other day where a family was talking about the fact that they are sharing water with animals. Surely this can't be. I mean, let's paint the picture here about what the situation really looks like here in our country.
Well, look, there are a number of factors that come into play when you want to obviously demonstrate how dire the landscape is. Yeah. So, for instance, you make those examples with regards to, you know, the little boy looking for water and drowning as a result. You know, you'll also remember an incident where we had with Day Zero in Cape Town, which really then over there highlighted the extent of foresight that our political leaders and those in public service need to have, because we do have an existential crisis of climate change, and that will obviously have an impact of our access to water and the quality of that water. Yeah. So those are two examples. I mean, I've seen recently in Makhanda where people are pouring out dirty water coming out from their taps, and this is water they would, you know, cook with, clean with, wash with, and everything that we begin to see speaks to really two aspects. One being that there's currently a lack in terms of governance implementation in addressing the immediate needs that people have in order to gain access to water and gain access to good quality water. Yeah. And two, there's a lack of foresight in thinking in being able to put into place adaptation measures as a result of the impacts of climate change that we'll have. So when we talk water, we're not only talking about water that as far as we consume and we wash and we clean with, but we also have to think of water as an economic enabler. Yeah. You know, so if we're talking about producing energy, if we're talking about being a market that is attractive to tourists, if we're talking about agriculture, water is one of the common denominators that runs through all those sectors. So there really is a great deal of work that needs to be undertaken to both address the immediate need as well as address the challenges that are forthcoming as a result.
And when you talk about that, I mean, I would understand that, you've had some sort of, I've seen a debate that you've had with some representatives in government relating to the issue of water. And my question is, are you getting a hearing? Or are there issues in terms of implementing perhaps some of the strategies that you're putting forward? I mean, you mentioned the fact that there is, lack of foresight in thinking about things that can be done. And one that I think about is the fact that, you will hear government and you'll see pictures on social media, for example, where a couple of JoJo tanks are sent to a particular town. And that, to me, is a temporary solution. It could never be a full-time solution. So what is the issue? Why can we not bore holes? Why can we not make sure that, we address these issues on a long-term basis, as opposed to, just planting some JoJo tanks there?
Yeah. No, look, in South Africa, we're not short of being able to make plans. If anything, if you look at the existing governance landscape, both in terms of law and policy, there's enough there to actually address the immediate needs of people. The real issues that you are having with are no different to the issues that you're experiencing in any other sector. And that's primarily that what we are seeing in the water sector, particularly the execution of projects that would enable people to gain access to good quality water, as well as access to good quality sanitation, is one, there being a large amount of corruption within the water sector, and a great deal of maladministration also within the water sector. But what we do know in South Africa is that we have people who are well skilled, both in the sciences, resource governance, as well as law and policy, who are capable of talking with government and making the appropriate plan. I just think it's a matter or a case of government, being receptive to those inputs. And I think the nature of those inputs would be of such that they would address both immediate and future challenges.
All right, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you, sir. Thank you so very much for giving us your time here on SABC News. You're most welcome. That's Yamkela Ntola, Senior Lecturer at the Department of Public, Constitutional and International Law at UNISA's College of Law, and he's written extensively on the issue of water impacting on human rights. Let's take a short